Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
The world's just changed so radically, and we're all running to catch up. How can we possibly have the slightest idea what to expect? The best intentions. Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions.
Dr. Malcolm, I have shared few campfire stories with my uncle.
You can convince the Washington Post and the Skeptical Inquirer of whatever you want. But I was there, I know what happened, and so do you.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Hello, welcome to the December issue of Jurassic Minutes, where we discuss recent movie, toy and franchise news for the Jurassic series. I'm Brad.
I am Dave.
And here we are, back to start a new year, even though this year doesn't seem to be starting all that well either. But on the Jurassic front, we have the trailer of Season 2 of Camp Cretaceous that's come out, and it will be released on Netflix shortly. Iron Studios is working hard at taking our money, and stay tuned to the second part of the show where we dive into the history of the Jurassic Backlot, from horror to comedy to Desperate Housewives. We'll tell you all about the use of the Universal Backlot for Jurassic and more. But before we get to that, David, we've just had Christmas, and I know I've got some new stuff, and it looks like you've got some new stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
I was so happy to walk into my local Target and see a Netflix Indominus Rex in there. I never thought we would have got those. I've seen some people in specialty stores getting on over here, but I've got none of those stores near me, so I was lucky to get that thing, and I love it. It's definitely way better than the Hasbro version.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the regular one, right? Not the Super Colossal.
Yeah, not the Colossal one.
That's the one I got. It's in every conceivable way superior to the Hasbro one. Or as I've started to call them, Hasblows.
I still find it fascinating though they've brought back the light-up functions in it.
I know, yeah.
I don't know where that's coming from. It's something Hasbro done, now they're doing it too.
I'm wondering if there's like some kind of package that Universal sends out for when the toy creators create certain figures, like for Rexy and the Indominus, for example, where there's certain things they have to include in the toy. Like, for example, like Blue has to have the blue and white stripe. That's just a absolute need. Or Rexy needs to have that kind of ridged snout or something like that. And I wonder if like the Indominus has one where it has to have this light up feature in the neck, which is really weird because we never actually see this in the movie. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's the same press kit that Hasbro would have got back in the day, as we know, like Hasbro and even Mattel, or Hasbro back then anyway, would have been given information about some of the animals probably a year or more ahead of the film's release, just so the toys could be made in time. Yeah,
that's usually how it works. That's how it worked with Kenner,
yeah,
where they were sent by Universal a bunch of photos of these Dan Winston maquettes to work from, you know?
Yep. So, yeah, there must have been something early script or something in there, or even some line that the animal uses light to change colour or something. Something they've used to describe the animal and they've taken it the wrong way or something there. But it scales great next to me Fresh and Fro T-Rex, and the other one I got the darker brown coloured one as well. So the Stomp and Devour, or whatever they keep calling them. All these different Tyrannosaurs they've released.
Oh my God, they've got so many there. And they've still got them coming too.
Yes, we've just getting some news now when we record this, so we'll be talking about that in the January issue of the Minutes. But anyway, they can release another T-Rex, they're doing it. Also found the Lumpy, Netflix Lumpy as well, so I got that one. I'm just sticking to animals we see on screen at the moment, or animals I can actually buy from the store. They've got the fluorescent parasol office there, and I'm sort of just waiting for that to go on special on sale, so I can get a couple of them. Lego had a few sets out this year, but the only one I really went for was the Jurassic World gyrosphere station with the irex and the ankylosaurus. Just I've got the Carnotaurus one from Fallen Kingdom with the not battle damage, but the vines all over the gyrosphere station. Now I've got the pristine one as well, and another hamster ball to roll around on the ground.
Yeah, I got the Lego one where I think it was just the mini set with Gray, Nick, and the gyrosphere. It was just that kind of like little set.
Yep. And then before Christmas too, I had a friend in the States actually sent me a couple of the masie and Owen figures from Fallen Kingdom. It's the Build-A-Figure ones. I think they've got they got parts of fossils in them. I think they build the Triceratops skull or something. I don't know what it actually does. I haven't opened them up yet, but yeah, I got myself a masie and an Owen anyway. 2 figures that we just didn't see over here at all. So.
Yeah, I remember the masie even in the States being hard to find. It wasn't like super rare like some of the stuff was, but I remember it was one of the more rare figures that was you had to hunt for it a lot.
Yeah, I think it was November. Someone posted up a photo of in a toy store at the end of the shelf, and there was just 40 or 50 of them on the pegs there, and
oh my god!
He just posted, "Who wants a masie?" and about 20 of us threw our hands in the air. Yep. So he was busy shipping stuff out to us, but very grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one thing I was really looking for everywhere over Christmas, and I didn't get it, but you did, and that was the hallmark T-Rex.
Yeah, that was here in the States, I believe it was a Target exclusive, and unlike like many of Hallmark's kind of signature figures, like for example the Star Wars that I have one of their Darth Vader ones. For example, it's where they're made out of like a hard acrylic plastic. This one's more of like a semi-soft rubber, where it has like a little give. Like, say, if the cat were to whack it off the tree, it's not going to break.
Yep, bounces.
Actually, I believe there was a concern of a friend of mine who he wanted it, but he was afraid his cat would whack it off the tree and it'd break. And I'm like, don't worry, it's soft rubber, so it's very safe.
Nice. And it, dare I say, it looks like it's got a better paint job on it than the Chronicle Collectibles one too. The photo you posted anyway, the paint looks good on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It's not like their most intricate figure. I wouldn't exactly call it like even say on the level of like their Darth Vader figure where it looks 100% like the character, or even their Walter Payton figure that my dad has. But I mean, it's still a good figure. Yeah, all the toes and stuff are painted right, and it's got all the color that it should have, and it's got a good sculpt. So I'm happy with it. It was a nice little stocking stuffer.
Nice.
Yeah, along with that, I also got the 4K disc set and a 4K TV to watch them on. So that should be fun. Unfortunately, I do not have a 4K Blu-ray TV player, Blu-ray player yet. But I'm kind of hoping I'm going to ask for that for my birthday. So I'm kind of hoping that I can get that hooked up and see what Jurassic Park looks like in 4K for myself, because I've seen we've discussed previously some of the screen caps that have been posted on JurassicVault.com, and it looks absolutely spectacular. So I'm excited.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comparisons getting posted up. I remember you're doing a few of just the Blu-ray and the VHS transfers and that sort of stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, especially at the Lost World, how if they change any of the settings on that, if they brighten it up or anything, or keep it as dark as it is on Blu-ray.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm going to brag a little bit because the picture on this TV is absolutely magnificent. I can screencast it to my phone can screencast to it, so I'm like thumbing through some of the photos I've taken on the big screen TV, and I'm just like jaw dropping. Wow, I took that. yeah, that's one feature I definitely love. Even if you just need to touch some photos up, and it's a lot better doing on the big screen and on your little phone. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then with like a little bit of my Christmas money, I ordered the Chasmosaurus from the Lost World line from my friend Luis Perez
Nice.
from on eBay. So yeah, got that coming in the mail.
Yeah, you can talk about that on the next show.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't get lost or delayed in the postal service, of course, which is always
really.
a hassle.
Hey, where did you find those?
It walks under my seat.
Are they heavy?
Yeah.
Then they're expensive. Put them back.
All right, moving into some news now, and as I mentioned before, Iron Studios is finding more ways to take money from us. They've posted up some more statues for sale. One of being the classic shot, maybe, of the Tyrannosaurus in the rotunda with the raptors. You got the 4 humans, Grant, Ellie, Tim and Lex there, and the raptors on a massive base, and coming in at $900 US.
Yeah. I like it a lot, the T-Rex, but I'm not such a fan of the raptor sculpts. The head sculpts kind of look overly thin. I mean, the bodies look really nice, but I do not like the head sculpts on the raptors at all. And I'm not sure if they changed that from their Raptors in the Kitchen line, because I remember the Raptors in the Kitchen, those pictures of those raptors looking absolutely fantastic. So, kind of wondering what happened there. But the T-Rex looks magnificent. She's got all the colors are there, all the sculptural details are there. The humans actually look pretty good though too. I mean, I'm looking here at some of the close-ups. I can see the side profile of Grant, and he looks spot on.
Yeah, of course, it'd be very hard to do. Not to scale, but it's a 120 scale, but to do the whole visitor center rotunda and fit all this in, what they've done here with the base and having the Tyrannosaurus sort of curve around the back, and your characters and raptors in the front. On those raptor skulls, I wonder if it's they seem a lot more Lost World to me, which has me sort of hope that they're planning something else and they're using the mold for this and something new.
I mean the sculpts in the movie were the same as they were in the first movies. So I mean it's just the heads look like they dip a lot towards the eyes, and the brow ridges on the eyes are over exaggerated.
Yeah, I see what you mean there now. I thought you meant the skull itself was narrow, and those humans do look pretty good. That Grant doesn't look it looks a lot better than what the one we had before with the T-Rex breakout. Looks a little bit better. But a lot of brown and grey you miss as well, because just the way they coloured the animals back in the day.
Yeah.
Of course, you got the base of the skeletons that were in the rotunda as well, and some bones lying all over the place.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of an amalgamation, but it's really nice because it's like a small round table kind of diorama. It's not really exactly the scene from the movie, because at the point the raptors are in, the pose they're in, the T-Rex didn't make an appearance yet. Meanwhile, the T-Rex is kind of lording over them, kind of like the centerpiece of the diorama here. So it still looks really nice, and I think that a lot of fans will be happy with it.
Yeah, and that once again that comes down to just a different artist impression, or the liberties they've taken. It's no different to the sideshow statue that came out a while ago, with having the one dead raptor in the Tyrannosaurus mouth and the others up on the side of her, putting those scars into a flank and that. It's the same here. Well, I've seen one person complain, well, where's when dinosaurs roam the Earth flag? But even trying to do that, having wire or something, suspend that flag above the Tyrannosaurus as well, it'd be too much. Just trying to fit too much of the scene in.
If I recall, Prime 1 Studios is also doing their own Rex Rotunda, which does include the banner that's falling over. I think it includes, it's like a I'm not really sure what the material is, but you can fold it over like the back of the T-Rex or something.
I'll have to have a look at that again. But of course, it's made out of polystone, 13.5 pounds, so shipping. 10.5 inches high, 19 inches wide, and 14.5 inches tall or deep. So she's a big set. For $900, it's probably a good price too. Plus, they have the payment plan, and you can throw your 10% deposit down without getting in too deep in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, Dave, I remember you sent me some of these photos a couple of weeks ago, and I marvelled at the Owens Studios Dilophosaurus that they got coming out too for just $120. Remind me, how much for the raptors, the individual raptors? You got one, didn't you? Just the raptor, not the kitchen?
I never got the raptor. I think the seller I ordered it through had ordered it from Chronicle.
Oh, okay.
And as we know, Chronicle is not sending anything out anymore. So one of the things they never sent out was the raptors.
Okay. I was just wondering on price. I'm pretty sure the raptors were about $99, weren't they?
They were actually, I think, about this price.
About this price?
I think they were initially $99, and then I think they went on sale at the Iron Studio site for this price.
Okay. Yeah. Well, of course, there's a lot more painted detail on this Dilophosaurus. I commented to you when you sent me the pictures how much it looks like the Horizon version from back in the day.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Stan Winston Studio maquette, which, as I mentioned, was the basis for the Horizon sculpt, which was actually cast directly from the Stan Winston set.
Yep.
Or maquette, I'm sorry. Been a long week. I just got off 2 back-to-back 5-day vacations with the Christmas and then New Year's. So this was my first full week back. But yeah, you can easily see that they're standing there with the frill flared out, and then you can see a lot of these sculptural details going along on the back with the paint as well, and the red on the bottom of the throat.
Yeah, and I've seen one comment again, hoping or wanting the frill to be removable so you could have it in its sort of more natural pose. But this is sort of their interpretation. They want it to be in this pose. It's just about to spit at Nedry, so they wanted to reflect that.
The only thing I don't really care for is the fact that the tongue on the original maquette and the animatronic, the tongue was forked, but unfortunately not on this figure. It was actually on the Kenner toy, but I don't think any sculpts since then have included that detail.
Did that make it into the film, to the animatronic?
I mean, you can't really make it out, but a lot of that scene is so dark that there's a lot of details and a lot of paint that went into the animatronic that you just never see. So,
yep.
I mean, it's not a huge detail to miss, but I mean, for the fans like us that know it all, it's kind of a noticeable detail that they missed.
Yep. Well, as you said, you got the 4K version now, so maybe you might be able to pick up on it a little bit better.
I think I actually might pick this one up. I mean, for $120, it's actually really, really nice. And I mean, like we said, it reminds me a lot of the maquette, and that would be a really cool maquette to have. I do know that on Statue Forum, they kind of suspected that this may have originally been part of a larger diorama, but for some reason or another, Iron Studios scrapped that idea and just decided to go with a regular kind of static pose here.
I'll blame COVID. COVID's default. They couldn't get the rest of it made. But
maybe, yeah. Or I mean, even like maybe some kind of licensing issue with the Jeep or something, or Wayne Knight they couldn't get Wayne Knight on board to do the facial sculpt or something.
Oh man, if it come with a small hill, you got an actual 1/10 scale Jurassic Jeep with the door open and fake water running down in front of it and all that whole scene. And much like the Tyrannosaur breakout, you could buy the Jeep, you could buy the Nedry, you could buy this. That it'd probably put up around the $1,000 mark as well, but that would be absolutely fantastic.
Oh, it would be so beautiful. I mean, I can imagine in my head it'd be like kind of like a small square. You just got the hill Nedry sitting there in front of the Jeep, and the Dilophosaur, of course, standing in front of him with his mouth open. And then, of course, you got the Jeep at the top of the hill as at the top of the diorama, stuck on that fallen tree. Yeah, that would be really cool. Though that does remind me that recently Mattel, they didn't reveal, but it was kind of leaked, kind of not. That I think Collect Jurassic actually broke this news that Mattel is going to come out with a Nedry, Dilo, and covered Jeep 3-pack, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Which I think was originally intended to have been a diorama, just like we had just described, where with the Jeep at the top of the hill and Nedry and the Dilo. But of course, Mattel scrapped all of their playset ideas, so we never got that.
That's a shame. And just thinking too now, I suppose you could use the Amber Collection, Nedry, Dilophosaur, and it's got the Eastock sign as well, and make your own little hill and use the either the Jada Jeep or one of the other Jeeps as a stand-in. Not being the correct Jeep, of course, but do your own little diorama as well until they finally get around to doing something themselves for release. But yeah, I've got the Horizon one, so I think I might just stick with that. I think it's a lot bigger than 1/10. I'm not quite sure what scale they are, but it's the previous.
I'm not sure what scale it is either. Maybe 1/6. Can't remember.
But they're not. It's the other thing too. They're not. It must change because the Dilophosaurus and the Brachiosaurus are definitely not in scale with each other.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be closer more to like 1/15 or something.
Yeah. Yep. Well, the Brachiosaur is nearly on par with what the Mattel one is.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost the same size, so if that can explain any more.
I scrubbed out, Dad. I got cut from the team. Thanks for knowing.
The school cut you from the team?
Moving on, Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous over Christmas, or just before Christmas, we got the trailer for Season 2, and the release or the news that's coming out on January 22nd, which is only a couple of weeks away now as we record this. Shows about what we expect from the trailer. Of course, the kids are being left behind, left to survive, or as the taglines spell out in the trailer, adapt, evolve, and survive. Heading back to seemingly the ruined Camp Cretaceous and building their own tree fort and everything else. Camp Kenji, I believe it's called.
Yeah, we're finally getting the Jurassic Lord of the Flies that was originally envisioned, I guess, as the Jurassic Park 3 storyline. So we'll be getting those abandoned group of kids stuck on the island having to fend for themselves.
Mm-hmm. I do like how they're off to Main Street to try and find a telephone and realise that the Tyrannosaur's out and it's her lair in the middle of the park there. So
this is so cool. I mean, it's terrible, absolutely bad. This is the worst thing ever. Like as I said, he is daring as all of us.
Yep, 100%. It does sort of, and we'll find out in a couple of weeks why, but why they go back and build Camp Kenji and don't try and find somewhere in the Main Street or around that area to bunker down, probably because of the Tyrannosaur. But with fences down, she can move wherever she likes. So not really anywhere safe on the island. As we see, the Baryonyx are on the scene here with Season 2. We knew they were coming, and we got the shot of the Ceratosaurus as well in a new paint job, new colours.
So yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting the Baryonyx and Ceratosaurus that we had seen Mattel make figures of originally for their initial wave of Camp Cretaceous toys. I think it was what was it? It was like Grimm, the Baryonyx or something like that.
Oh, I can't remember the trio's names now.
I remember one of them was Grimm.
Mm.
It was the green one.
I can't recall if one had a scar. I think that was more the Carnotaurus.
Yeah, I remember that Carnotaurus Toro had the
Toro,
scar.
Yeah.
Which I imagine, I think he is still around, so we might see Toro return in season 2.
Yep. And of course, being a trailer, we had to have the Tyrannosaurus save the humans, even though it was going after a Parasaurolophus and not another carnivore. She's just going to be again that stay in the background and raw sort of thing by the looks of it.
I mean, she is the apex predator on the island now that the Indominus is dead. Pretty much everything is fair game except for probably the Apatosaurus and the Brachios. No?
Yep. Yeah, and we are getting a few more animals in the season 2 as well, getting Compies and Brachiosaurus on top of some of the other ones we've seen.
We saw the Compies in season 1. They were around a couple times, but it looks like we'll actually be getting some different colors. We'll be seeing the regular green ones and the pale green ones, as we had seen in The Lost World as sexual dimorphism, and then we're seeing a third new color that's red. Or brown or something like that. It's like a brownish red.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some figures of them as well.
Yeah. As people have been mentioning, though, a life-sized super colossal or even Amber Collection Compy would be amazing. I would shell out so much money for that. I know that NECA did that with the Facehugger, and it was very popular, where they came up with a life-size Facehugger with a bendy tail.
I don't know why it hasn't been done already. It makes the most sense out of any of them. Either that or the babies from the petting zoo as a super colossal. Yeah, I hope that's on the cards and it's something they're going to do.
I do know. Speaking of the babies from the petting zoo, I do remember there was like a rideable Triceratops vehicle that had came out for Jurassic World. So I do remember that. But yeah, as far as like a posable toy or anything, I'm not sure why that hasn't been done yet. Could be maybe just like a little bit too big, but I do know for like a super colossal life-sized Compy, that would be so cool.
Yeah. Yep. And you could paint it 3 different ways and release it 3 different times, and would buy it. Yeah, I do like the shot of the Compies jumping all over the broken gyrosphere too. That we get in the trailer. It's good here now. We're bridging the gap of that sparkling clean park to Fallen Kingdom, the Lost World, where everything's just destroyed, which is my zone. That's where I want to be. So.
Yeah, I am definitely getting Fallen Kingdom vibes from the trailer here. So, I think we're going to see some tie-ins to Fallen Kingdom in this season. Maybe even some like rumbles from the island itself or something.
That would be good. Just have that little bit of starting to tie in. I still, it's a bit of a shame that season 1 was the only sort of stuff we had with the park running, and I still would have liked a little bit more of trying to tie in what was going on in the background, Jurassic World and that. But now we, especially this trailer here, we can see they've focused a lot on adding animals that we see in Fallen Kingdom that weren't there. We know Carnotaurus off in the restricted zone, that sort of stuff as well, and the Cinderceratops. So they're at least it seems like they're trying or doing the right thing by trying to bridge it as much as they can. Yeah.
Well, it'd be interesting if they because we see them in the tunnels riding Owen's motorcycle. So it'd be interesting that if near closer to the end of the season, at some point they come across a geothermal section and they see lava starting to overcome some of the lower levels of the geothermal plant that was on the island.
Mm-hmm. We can only hope.
If you look to the right, you will see a herd of the first dinosaurs on our tour, called Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus?
One of the earliest carnivores, we now know Dilophosaurus is actually poisonous, spitting its venom at its prey, causing blindness and eventually paralysis, allowing the carnivore to eat at its leisure. This makes Dilophosaurus a beautiful but deadly addition to Jurassic Park.
Next up, Jurassic Korea on Twitter. He's been posting the PD discussion page or group on Facebook, and he's been looking or trying to find the original Jurassic World script, and he did find a excerpt from the script describing Owen as 34, scruffy and handsome. My ass movie. Chris Pratt is not 34 years old. That's 5 years younger than what I am. And to prove, I just went to IMDb, and he was born in 79, so he would have been 41 now. He would have been 36 when Jurassic World was released. So,
I mean, you can kind of fuck it a little.
Yeah, I can't believe he's that young though. Although 41 now. It was 6 years ago, going on 6 years ago. So we have moved a little bit further away, but. Yeah, just because that's not in the junior novelisation or anything as well, so just his the character being 34, so a little bit younger than what his real life actor is.
Owen, are they safe?
No, they're not.
What are their names?
Well, you got Charlie, this is Echo, here is Delta, and this one's called Blue. She's the beta.
Who's the alpha?
You're looking at him, kid.
Something else that's not really much to talk about, but David, you posted up about a rumour of a scene in Jurassic World featuring a tiki bar and possibly a celebrity concert singing act going on, maybe even Mariah Carey or something like that in Jurassic World.
So yeah, we do have concept art that was from the movie of like a tiki kind of bungalow thing that was for the movie. Like I think there was it had one shot that was just like tiki huts and a bar, and then another shot where it was a bit wider, you could see that it was in a lagoon area. I think this was originally from when the island was, where the park was on the coast of the island, and you could actually look out onto the ocean and from the main part of the park and just like see. I think they even had like what is that, Sandals Resorts, where they have the huts on the water.
Yeah,
I think there's even concept art with that where they had something like that. And I do know that they had the sweepstakes here that I included another image of, where they had a Hawaiian vacation that looked very similar to this tiki hut style thing they were going with.
Mm. Yeah, that centre middle pic of just looking down over the lagoon and the ocean out through the trees, that's, you can clearly see it is art, but that could be a photo from Hawaii or Fiji or any sort of island resort, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does. And the other thing is that when this was revealed, I believe that the rumors started circulating that there was going to be a tiki bar scene in the scripts with I think it was going to be like a off the clock scene involving like Claire and Owen and maybe some of the other staff, and we see him at the tiki bar, and in the background there would have been a Mariah Carey song that would have been written for the movie alone, kind of like what some of the James Cameron and Peter Jackson movies, where they have credit songs that are they try to repeat the "My Heart Will Go On" from Celine Dion in Titanic, where that you still hear that played today on the radio. Covers sometimes, but I mean, it's like that song is at this point over 20 years old, and people still know it And it first originally came out as the Titanic song.
Yeah, I think that having a lot of films that have sort of a theme song covered by or produced by or made by, sung by, having that song either in the film or at the credits severely dates a lot of films by having that included.
Yeah, I really don't care for it. I know that Peter Jackson did it in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, I think because it was kind of the thing to do back then because James Cameron was doing it. And then he did it again with the Hobbit movies. And it was just seemed really anachronistic because nobody does that anymore. You know?
Yeah.
I rush for the remote before I hear the pop version of Only Mountain.
Yeah, well, there's the other alternative, the other thing as well, where you just have a celebrity appearance singing one of their songs. For an example, Spider-Man one with Macy Gray for the parade, doing her little ditty there in the parade while Spider-Man's swinging around doing his thing with Goblin. Since it's the Christmas, the holiday period, and we're at a VIP Tiki Lounge, I could see some sort of celebrity act being there. I'm glad we didn't have the whole Owen and Claire off the clock, because there's a lot of stuff happening in this film as it is. And even if there was just a snippet of 10-15 seconds of, as we're going through the park, whatever, someone, Mariah Carey or any singers in there, sort of just pumping out a couple of lines of one of their famous tunes or something, playing for the VIPs or however expensive this tiki bar is. But I could sort of see it. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't want a soundtrack, songs inspired by or produced for Jurassic World.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have a Mariah Carey, the Jurassic World song. You know.
Well, it could be worse. We could have had an Eminem Indominus just goes on and or something. I don't know.
like he did for Venom.
That's enough about that.
No, seriously, he did. Eminem did a song. I think it was a credit song.
Oh, he
for
did
the movie
too.
Venom.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, he did too. I remember that now. I think we got a better version of Jurassic World. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting little thing to discuss anyway.
You put a tourniquet on. Ian?
Remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend.
Either November or December, no, it would be December because that's near. Either October or November's issue of Jurassic Minutes, we mentioned Jurassic World Aftermath was on its way out. It is now out, people have been playing it, and I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on Oculus and all the new VR gear just to play it. I'm going to go to YouTube and hopefully, I hope you can plug it into some sort of recording device so there's playthroughs. If there's a will, there's a way, and I'll be over there. But Jurassic World Aftermath, set 2 years after the events of Jurassic World, prior to the events of Fallen Kingdom, of course. You play as Sam, who's a voiceless protagonist serving as an avatar to the players, and she's been hired for an illegal asset retrieval mission on Isla Nublar. Sounds familiar. Sounds just like Fallen Kingdom, or the start of it anyway. And then, of course, horror ensues as she's being chased around the place by raptors and all sorts of other nasties.
Mm-hmm. I believe that Clayton Fiordi has already announced that he's planning to do a full walkthrough of the game. So I think that's where I'll be getting my view of it from. Because like you, I really don't see the point in spending the money on all the AR, VR kind of stuff they do right now. It seems to me like it's kind of being a fad game, like right now, like kind of like the Wii was. If anybody remembers the Wii.
That was the last time I bought a new console. It's still here. And it was a eBay one, so of course everything's in Japanese. All the title menus and everything's in Japanese, so I haven't been able to change any settings on it. Yeah, so apparently the game is in canon. We do have an involvement of Dr. Henry Wu in there as well. Although I have heard there are some interfield debate about some things not matching up with canon. Again, I'll have to watch the video and comment after it. If Clayton's doing it, it's going to be fun, because I did love his Trespasser walkthrough. So hopefully his Aftermath one is good and fun like that as well. But in the game, we do get a bit more of a expansion of canon. The use of geothermal power plant, for example. Of course, there's a mission in there where you got to get the system back online so you can unlock doors and computers to try and stay alive. So there seems like they're rehashing a lot of what we've seen in the Jurassic series before.
Door locks. Gotta boot up the door locks.
Yep, exactly. And we have some interesting different coloured raptors running around too, so there's again just more happening on New Blood and what we seen in the film.
There will be no raptors running around on this island, except for the 50 different multicolored ones that we already produced.
He really didn't know what was going on.
Move where? Our boat, their airlift, they're both waiting for an order. We have no way to send.
All right. There's a communications center here at the old operations building. Hammond ran everything on geothermal power. It was never meant to need replenishing. If we can get here, we can send a radio call for the airlift.
Alright, so that's the end of the news. A little bit there to discuss. Going into our Jurassic Backlot history report now. Unless you're new to the show and haven't listened to the Lost World Minute or Jurassic Park 3 Minutes, we talked a lot about the Backlot, the worker village being built there, then the embryonics administration being built there as well. Being one of the locations apart from Hawaii, Eureka, that they actually filmed part of the series in, and of course Jurassic World moving down to Florida, to Orlando on that as well, to do filming down there and building Main Street. And we've talked in the past too about how much detail went into building these sets, and a lot of it not being seen in the final films either, because we didn't see that part of the set, or it being dark in the Lost World's case. But yeah, over the last 3 to 4 years, we've talked a lot about it at various times over the existence of the set, but we've never really discussed the timeline. As the Lost World set was shown, it was slowly pulled down in sections, redressed in the JP3 set, and then left it to decay behind that plane crash for War of the Worlds. But I've spent the last 2 months probably going through every Universal family behind the scenes tram tour video that I could find on YouTube. I can't imagine back in the 90s getting videos off your DV camcorder or your VHS video camera to upload onto YouTube, but a lot of people have, and without these videos there'd be no way of revisiting the sets.
Yeah, since it is sadly gone now.
Yeah. I do have one gripe though. A lot of people have the cameras going when they get to the Psycho House, and then as soon as the tram passes it, they turn them off. So there's a lot of videos I've seen where you could see, just approaching the tram tour, you could see the operations building or the visitors, the worker village or whatever in the background for a split second, and then they do the little gag with Norman Bates or someone at the Psycho House walking out with a knife and scaring the tram away, and then all of a sudden it cuts to Falls Lake and whatever's going on there, or the Fast and the Furious ride. So it was especially when there was some videos there at the right times where the Jurassic Park 3 set was being redressed and everything, then it would have actually showed a lot more. So that's sad. If you're gonna do a video of the tram tour, do the whole tram tour, please.
It's such a tease.
Yeah, yep. And especially when you got a 30-minute video and that you got to start and scrub through it, fast forward and try and find. Luckily, the tram tour being the same layout for all these years, it makes it easy as soon as you get past Amity and the Bates Motel. You know, the Jurassic Backlot's next on the stop, or next on the tour. But looking at a bit of the history of the site, back in the mid-1990s, of course, the Backlot site housed the Psycho House. I never realised before that it and the Bates Motel were from the same movie. I don't know why I didn't put that connection there, but of course the Bates Motel just being down the bottom, because it's not the Psycho Motel, it's the Bates Motel. Anyway, I haven't seen a lot of that film, so that's probably why as well. But the area had that man-made waterfall, which still exists to this day and is now part of the sort of back parkland area where employees can disappear and just enjoy the outdoors in the middle of LA if need be, since the set was demolished. But
keep in mind it is LA and they are enjoying more than just the outdoors.
That too. But the waterfall actually had a stream running straight through the middle of the backlot there, down to the that outside pool at the Falls Lake area. But that all got covered up when the John Candy film, The Great Outdoors, was being filmed in '95, and that massive woodlog mansion that was built for the film. I was going to try and find The Great Outdoors and just see if there's any exterior shots of the cabin on site and see if you can see that waterfall and that in the background. I never got around to it, so I still need to do that, even though there'll be no Jurassic infrastructure in there whatsoever. But after '95, when the film was released, it was picked up and moved to the other side of the road in front of that Falls Lake area, and it's still there today as a attraction, as a standpoint on the tram tour.
Mm-hmm.
All the pumping equipment for all those falls can be seen on a lot of the tours as well, next to the operations building helipad set, where all those pumps sort of pump the water back up from the falls or the fall lake to the waterfall.
I think that is also they did kind of make their own little Jurassic section now with the refurbished tram-friendly gates using the original InGen sign that had been on the Worker Village, and featuring I think they got a sawed in half Ford Explorer with some of the bones from some of the Apatosaurus bones, as well as one of the trailers and a couple of the Hunter vehicles, and I think a section of the JP3 cage.
Well, yeah, much like the backlot set, and all the chopping and changing went on there. A lot of changes went around to that sort of Lost World display, even though they played a Jurassic Park theme when they're going through it. Early videos, you can see the RV tyres clear pumped up and that, where now it's stuck, either sunk in the dirt or the tyres are just rotten off the bottom of it. A lot of the vehicles there falling into decay, just being out in the open. But smaller stuff like the cage off the JP3 boat, the JP3 boat itself was there for a time. Vehicles come and went. A lot of InGen vehicles littered the backlot as well for the tram tour out there over the years as well. So just, I've got a full list of all the videos I actually looked at and got information from in the reference section at the bottom. If anyone, I'll post them up on the Facebook group if anyone wants to actually go and have a look. But yeah, a lot of changes over the years. But in 1996, or late 96, early 97, after Lost World was filmed and filming was done and the film was released, the set was de-dressed, lights, power and film equipment and the plants all removed from the worker village. That's when we got the Vince Vaughn E-Entertainment 1 hour behind the scenes set tour, which showed a lot of stuff. The bones still in front of the front gates at the geothermal plant there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, there's a lot of people walking over the roof and all around the operations building in that video as well, so I don't know if they're still pulling things off it or just making the set, or doing some sort of alteration to the set to have it left there, just fastening something so it doesn't blow away or anything like that. It uses the same interview locations as the Vanessa Chester, Lee Chester video that we get later as well, assuming they filmed all the interviews with the actors in those different areas around the operations building at the same time and used them for different videos, because that's also on the behind the scenes videos on the DVDs as well. But yeah, everything outside the fence been removed as well. Also, I noticed too, there maybe being a test shot, but in that behind the scenes video, we get Ian, Roland, and Ludlow looking at that map. Oh no, it might be RJ looking at that map, and it's actually shot in the daytime. So I don't know if they just shot that scene in the day and then darkened it for the film to make it look like they were in the creek at night.
I doubt that, because I remember this, because the scene's actually shot on a set. So
Yeah.
that'd be weird.
Yeah. Yeah, because then he says the one more hour and we'll hit it, and just sort of Malcolm steps up and walks off screen one side, and RJ just goes up and stands behind the cameraman out of shot, and Roland turns his flashlight off, so something a bit weird there. But around this time too, we also got the mural removed from the operations building, all the furniture removed from the building as well. No asphalt road in the village set at this point until we get the Vanessa behind the scenes video, so that come in towards the end of 97.
Mm-hmm.
We get the trampled satellite dish next to the satellite pumps, which we see in Sliders the year later, and there's still light rigs on set and the satellite dish on the roof between the kiln shed and the boarding house, so maybe they'll setting some stuff up, getting ready for the tram tour there.
Yeah, I do remember that after the movie and around this time, they'd started kind of using the backlot of the Lost World to be something of almost like a dumping site for a lot of the just random props used in the movie, like the Jeeps, the 76 ball that the T-Rex knocks down, and like you said, the satellite dish too.
Mm. Yeah, and that's definitely something that you see in Sliders, just the amount of junk, crates and everything that's been dumped on the set. And you do see some of that in the backlot tours as well. But as I said before, we get the Vanessa Lee Chester video interview there, post-filming, but before the film's release. There's a bit of a marketing video. The new asphalt's gone down through the middle for the mentioned tram tour that they say in the video. Some of the cars have been removed. The chef pickup still parked up in front of the boarding house with the power pole laying across it. But the Suburban and all that are off, parked over next to the operations building. And that's when the movie Gangland come in. I mentioned a few episodes ago that I'd got that DVD set, or DVD on film, and we've sort of discussed some of the things that come out of that film. A lot more inside the operations building and around it than what we got from the Backlot murders. Sadly, at this time, the whole worker village was there dressed, and they never turned the camera once to show it off, which is a shame. But you can obviously see in some photos, you can see the waterfall running beside the operations building, which would have been a nice shot at night time in the Lost World, seeing that waterfall as Ian and that are coming into the worker village.
It would have been. I kind of wonder if the waterfall had been like a small remnant of that concept art. For it kind of served two dual purposes. It was a filtration system for the pond for after the movie, but it was also a leftover remnant to the waterfall behind the operations center that was conceptualized at one point.
Well, that might be the reason why they built the set there in the first place, because that waterfall was there. I think there was a 1992 video I seen with the video there. It actually. It's sort of an old-timey tram tour video, and one of their attractions is, we got a man-made waterfall, and it just sort of runs, and you can see it in that back lot. It's just an empty lot with the waterfall running down into a stream that runs down to the Falls Lake. So, as you said, a lot of that concept art had the waterfall in the background. Maybe that's what they're going for, and then ultimately abandon it, as they would say.
Mm-hmm.
But on the gangland set, inside the operations building, although the set's mostly been de-dressed, there's still vines hanging all over the roof. And although the mural's been removed, we do see that InGen We Make Your Future painted sign visible above where the mural wall is that wasn't seen in the Lost World and is in the exact same font as what we got on that sign above the entrance gate. So, don't know what was happening there. we got that sign on the wall, but it was covered in vines for the film.
I do suspect that a lot of the set dressing for the worker village that we saw in the movie was meant to be shown off a lot more than what we had initially got, because there's that entire left side where they have all that stored equipment that we never even get to see in the movie. And you don't dress parts of a set that you don't plan to shoot. I mean, Spielberg is very, very frugal in that sense, in that he won't he will show you only see what he wants you to see, and he wouldn't have bothered to have dressed that side of the worker village if he didn't plan on showing it to us. You know?
Yeah, and we mentioned during the sliders discussion, which we just re-released last week as a reminder, the back hallways and all that sort of stuff. And we see that in Gangland here as well. There seems to be like a patio area behind the mural wall and that, out next to the tower structure and that, with walkways and ramps leading off to the hill behind it. So a lot more going on with that set than what we see in the film. Outlines on the walls can be seen where lights were removed. In particular, there's one shot above that rear door that goes up to the helipad, above the storeroom, where you can see where the emergency lights were when Nick and Malcolm and that ran out the back to get to the helicopter. We get the base of the tower finally as well. 2-story structure with windows and double glass doors around it as well, and louvers. Of course, here being de-dressed, so we got no idea what was in this room at all in the film. But at the time, the operations building and worker village was going to have the lab as well, so possibly test tubes and beakers and some sort of lab equipment.
Well, we do see during the interview, which is the same interview that had Nick and Kelly, that also included parts of an interview with Julianne Moore, who played Sarah, that there were like a bunch of scientific equipment stored in this room. There was a bunch of microscopes that we see behind her. So it almost seems like but we can also see from like the outside that there was like a shelving unit that looked like it had kind of like square shelving spaces for storage. So I almost wonder if it was like a storage area for some of the scientific equipment that they weren't using at the administrative building.
Yeah, we do get a couple of shots in Gangland of they have a lab set up off in that left-hand section of the thing, so I wonder if they'll manage to get some of the props back into that. I couldn't find any engine logos on it when I was looking. We also get the tower itself being a wooden power pole or tower pole with the telephone spikes that you climb up. Even though they're being cut off, you can see where they've been screwed into it, so access to that tower would have been up much like you climb a telephone pole. Which is again something we never seen.
Oh, again, I mean, it's possible that that's part of something that they never actually finished because Spielberg made the call to finish or to stop building. So it could have been like there was a going to be spiral staircase up to that second level. You know.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's right. They could have. We know there was going to be a lot more stuff filmed in the worker village.
Well, we also again had that concept art of Nick's shining his flashlight on a raptor in the second part of the operations building. And we, of course, never see that in the final movie. All we see is he hears a noise and he shines his flashlight before running for the radio room.
Yeah. Yeah, we've discussed before the concept art of just a lot of the operations building concept art had that tower as seemingly some sort of place of last resort in case animals invaded or raptors come into the building. But after Gangland was filmed, all the interior walls were removed from that left section of the operations building. Of all the videos I've looked at, I haven't seen a single one featuring that tram tour going through that village. Whether it was a no cameras allowed or what, it's a shame they're sort of marketing, come to Jurassic World, come to Universal Studios and visit the Lost World set, and no one's got any photos or video of it.
Well, I mean, I do know that there was photos allowed because we do have photos from people who had visited it on the tram tour. But like you said, it's kind of a shame that we get teased it and that nobody actually, that we can find, actually films it.
Yeah, well, there's famously those photos of the man in the black jacket in the gas station at the front of the operations building, and you can see the asphalt road in the background going around past the gas station out, but they're really the only ones I can think of.
Well, there's those, and then there's another one that was taken actually from the tram tour at the point where they started actually circumventing and not going through the village.
Yeah, because it was about the same time too that I found a video of Universal Florida attraction that had a lot of the Lost World props down there, including stuff from the Hunter's Camp and that Triceratops puppet on the vehicle that rammed the Hummer. I can only assume the RV and M-Class were down there at the same time, as well as outside displays on the buildings for that Florida marketing push down there. But once we get to late 1997, that's when the sliders filmed on set, as we've mentioned before, everything in place. The tram road either removed or covered over in gravel for the filming of sliders, because we can see the actors running around the set there, and there's no road there, even though we do get one vehicle driving through the set. And again, we've got the crumpled or trampled satellite dish there with all the InGen crates. But again, go check out the sliders one for an in-depth look at what's featured there. As we move into 1998 early, in one video we can see the fence is still in place. The RV's back on site and parked around beside the operations building, and between that and the garage, which would have to be after the Florida tour. We know they drove that down there for the marketing. I know there's fans that have said they've seen that on the highway in photos, and we have photos of it parked down at Universal Florida with the sandwich boards out in front of it, so we know that happened. Also, in one video, spotted outside next to the Psycho house, the Tyrannosaur cage used to house the animatronic on the boat, and the Psycho house, and the Red Stego cage as well, that we've seen in the Hunter's Camp. That was on the backlot for a little bit. Moving into late 1998, all the fences were removed, but the main buildings remained up until 2000. Many of the InGen 100 vehicles, as I said before, were sort of just dumped on set all over the place. And the gates at the start of the set, obviously, as you mentioned before, with the tram tour and that Lost World section, they modified them and put them there with all the rest of the Lost World, the second RV and that sort of stuff there in that section. And that's when we move into 1999, when the gas station's removed, along with some more sections of the fence. We've still got the InGen 100 vehicles all over the place. And late 1999, the T-Rex cage is still there near the Psycho house. We've still got the gas pumps there, even though the building was pulled down. Which I wonder if there's a lot of shots of the back of those pumps missing, and it looks like that's the circuit breakers for the set.
Yeah.
Because I know they would have had one central point where all the power would have ran to power the set.
Well, it's kind of a shame that the gas station was, in fact, the first. Well, then maybe not exactly the first, because the water tower section was pulled down the very first, but then the gas station was the first actual building that became the first victim to the wrecking ball.
Yeah, and those couple of bits of fence sections behind it as well. Moving into 2000, there's one video there claiming to be shot in 2000 that shows the set as it appears in the 99 videos, but unsure if that's true, because at the start of 2000, most of the village is still there. The fence and the gas station, of course, is gone. However, I did find a video shot in January of 2000 where it has the Whoville set from Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas set up on the backlot site there, and it looks like it was just filmed on, so sometime around there. Everything else was destroyed because by mid 2000, and the author confirmed, the poster of the video confirmed this was shot in March of 2000. The kiln shed and boarding house had been removed, the gas pumps and breaker box gone. The Whoville set had been built for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, surprisingly leaving the operations building intact hidden behind the set. If you look at that video, you can see they built a big snow wall like a side of a mountain so you couldn't see the operations building from the set of Whoville.
I remember you saying that you wanted to watch the movie to see if it actually appears. I doubt that it does. I mean, it kind of like a post-apocalyptic building kind of puts a damper on your Christmas movie.
Yeah, that was.
It is about the Grinch.
That was wishful thinking. I haven't watched it, but just rewatching that tram tour video again, just seeing how big a set wall they built there to hide it. There's no way it'd just be sitting in the background of one shot somewhere. Yeah. Plus, I don't really want to watch the film just to find out. By late 2000, Whoville had been moved down beside Bates Motel. This was seen in an August video. By the late 2000s, the redress of the operations building into the embryonics administration building was well underway. Although, again, I could not find a single video showing the lab set, the car park, the cars, the lights, all that sort of stuff out in front of the embryonics administration building. It just looks identical to what we see in videos later in 2003. The set, the operations building set, was extended to include the vending machine hallway out the back, and to accommodate this extension, they cut half the bottom stairs off the helipad, so you couldn't actually access the helipad anymore, which we see in shots. One person put up I think it was one of the park workers, took a collage of shots and posted them on the line in the early 2010s, I think it was.
That one was actually done specifically on the request of Julian Romeo, who, as you know, sculpted I think it was the Iron Studios Breakout T-Rex diorama.
That sounds familiar.
He sculpted the T-Rex for that, based on the full animatronic shots, and of course has been behind the Jurassic Park Origins fan project that at this point I'm not sure if it's ever going to get completed, but hey, I mean, he gets a lot of models out of it, so that's really cool to see some of the stuff that he's built from that. It's almost become the fact that the fan film has become more than what it was intended to be by, in fact, launching his career with digital sculpture.
Yeah. No, so I wonder what he wanted the backlot photos, or was he trying to do digital renders of the set or something for it, was he?
I think that was the idea. I believe it was supposed to be about Hammond building Jurassic Park and building the facilities and Sorna and all that stuff. It was really, really ambitious, and it's really unfortunate that I doubt that'll probably ever be completed, but it's still really cool to see some of the things that he has created from it. And he's built up this really, really cool archive of these kind of weird, or these kind of unique photos like these.
Yeah, it's a shame. Interesting too, one thing I found, by December of 2000, the tram tour stopped going up to the Bates Motel and the Psycho House, which I'm assuming that's when they were filming Jurassic Park 3, because it'd just take a shortcut and go straight to the next section of the that bypassed the Falls Lake as well. So we know they've filmed the aviary sequence on that. So I'm guessing that's when they were filming Jurassic Park 3 there. Of course, 2001. Jurassic Park 3 coming out, the set was de-dressed again, much as it was seen in early 2002, where we get the Backlot murders filmed on set. We've talked about that. There's nowhere near as much we see of the set as we do in Gangland, but a couple of exterior shots. We do get some shots inside in that vending machine hallway, and we can sort of link them up to that collage of set photos we got that we just mentioned, with one of the exit doors out the back to one of them stair ramps.
It was around this time, I think, that there was also, I didn't see it listed here, but in 2003, one of the episodes of Crossing Jordan had a night scene filmed at the, what remained of the embryonics administration lobby building. And you can see that it's clearly the inside and outside of the building itself, but unfortunately, I've never really looked for that episode.
Well, that's one thing I was trying to look for, and it'll come back in a couple of years' time in the run sheet anyway. As we move into 2004, production crews and actors' RVs were parked on the Backlot site for the cast of Desperate Housewives. They were using that area as a staging area. The actors were there in their RVs because, of course, Wisteria Lane, like it was called, is just around the corner beside the other side of the Psycho House. So they were using this open area to house Terry Hatcher and all the other desperate housewives. Although I can imagine some of them wouldn't have been staying in RVs. They probably got chauffeured to and from motels for filming. Moving into mid-2000, that's when the plane wreckage was brought on site for Spielberg's War of the Worlds, which unfortunately blocked out the Embryonics administration sets altogether, and that's around the same time when the tram tours stopped pointing out the fact that this was Jurassic Backlot, and the Jurassic Park 3 set there too. They also stopped mentioning it, so it was hidden away. 2007, as you mentioned before, of Crossing Jordan. The only thing I found was the season 6 finale, which was shot down on Falls Lake beside the Jurassic area. There's some behind the scenes photos that I'll post up as well. And there's one shot high up looking down at their own plane crash, which I thought it was weird. They actually brought a DC-8 or something on site and used as a plane crash when that whole Spielberg set was there that they could have reused. But in the background you can see the Embryonics administration tucked over behind the fin of that 747.
Yeah, I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with the War of the Worlds movie. I mean, it's at one side it is kind of a neat movie, but on the other, it was just so awful. I mean, it was probably one of Spielberg's biggest blunders as a movie. It did not make the money it was expected to. It was not the hit it was expected to be. And Tom Cruise.
Well, as someone that enjoyed it, I can see your points. I wonder if, and this is a tangent, I wonder if it's more so the reference material, if it's the same reason now where sort of Peter Pan movies don't really do any, because it's sort of moved on from the normal realms of pop culture, or so you can say the same thing with the Wizard of Oz and those Johnny Depp films, but they're just bad. It's not the fact that it's a very old IP.
Well, it's not even Johnny Depp. I mean, Johnny Depp's a great actor. It's so many awful scripts and writing. Like that movie Transcendence, it was just awful. I mean, Johnny Depp could have been good in it if he was. I mean, he did the best that he could with what he had, but it was just so awful.
There's a lot like that. It's a fantastic idea and something that should be explored in a movie, but yeah, they just can't pull it off in the end. I've tried to find Crossing Jordan on streaming services, and it's not available here. I'm not going to go and purchase 3 or 4 seasons of DVDs just to search for it for one shot. If it does end up on streaming somewhere, I'll check it out and see if I can find it and report back. But yeah, that's probably one of the last things filmed on the set, except for a music video that come to light. I think it was on Pedia when we were talking. Pedia discussion group. The copyright's from 2011, so I'll say it takes place in 2011. At the 3-minute, 8-minute mark, we get the roof above the entrance. We can see it's already ready to collapse, but even though the roof has fallen down and completely covered the entrance, you can see there's a light-coloured barrier put across the front of the doors to stop people from entering. I don't know how, but I can only imagine fans like us were either getting off the tram and just walking onto the set or exploring it without Universal's approval.
Told you how many times we should have had locking mechanisms on the tram door.
Well, the whole time I'm watching these videos, so I'm just sort of thinking, how would I have sat at the very back and just sort of stepped off the tram and hope no one had seen me? Because for the longest time, even going back to school all through the 90s, it was my ambition to get to Universal Studios so I could see this set. I was looking at student exchange programs. I was looking at any way I could get over there, and then trying to explain to my parents why I wanted to go to the Universal Studios and do the Backlot tour, which could have been some fun if that had ever eventuated. But yeah, it's I didn't put in who the music video was. I know Rihanna's in it. She's one of the singers in it. I didn't I didn't look too much into the people in the video because it's just a lot of them walking around the ruined plane set with fog machines going, doing their the singing, and then of course they get onto that front entrance ramp to the Embryonics Administration Building and do the rest from there. We do get one interesting shot too, close up on the stairs leading up to the building, and you can see sort of the wire mesh and the chunks of plaster that are falling off it from those stairs, which really makes we'll wonder if anyone considered how strong those stairs were and that ramp that was filmed on, because you clearly see here it's starting to fall apart. Did you see the video for that music video?
I did, yeah. I mean, I'm not really big on Rihanna's music, so I mean, it was muted, but I did see a couple of the sections that you mentioned.
Yeah, the video again is in the reference section, so yeah, put the mute button on and just go that 3 minute and 8 second mark where they start dancing in front of the Embryonics building.
I think it's funny that, I mean, at this point, this building is really just starting to really fall apart. Like you said, you can see the chunks of plaster starting to come away from it. Yet the only thing that survives, even when going into 2012 here, where the roof starts collapsing and the rear walls start collapsing and everything just starts really falling down, that the only thing still standing is the helipad, which was the only thing that was actually rated for what it was meant to be, because they had to land a helicopter on it.
Yeah, yep. That and the concrete, the tower, and it obviously need to stay up as well. You don't want that falling over. But one thing I didn't mention is way back when that operations building was built, there's the set photos there of the timber on site and all the timber pylons being put into that lake area to build it on. And I always assumed that it was the concrete base and then they built the set off that, but there's a lot of shots of the Embryonics Administration Building as it's in various levels of decay, and you can see the panels, the plywood and that falling off the front, the catwalks and those landings in front of it as well. And you can see so there's a little bit of steel structure underneath it, but a lot of it was just timber, and here we are 2012, 12 years after it was essentially built, or redressed, so you're going 17 years after the operations building was built. That's a long time for that timber to be sitting in water and and that sort of thing. No wonder it started to fall into disrepair and collapse.
Well, it is really kind of a wonder that it survived as long as it did, because I mean that thing was, I mean even the animatronics by Jurassic Park 3 were really starting to kind of crack and not exactly hold up to what they needed or for the third movie. Like for example the only one that was reused from The Lost World, the Bull T-Rex, they had the paint had really yellowed, which gave it kind of a lighter paint job than what the fans were used to, because the paint was fading and yellowing. So that's kind of what started spurring the idea of the T-Rex being a younger individual, was because the coloration was lighter, when in reality it was just the animatronic was old. none of the stuff was built to really last any longer than maybe a year or two, for however long they needed it to last for the duration of the filming.
Yeah, it probably just its only saviour was just the climate of California. We know from the RV build video, the restoration videos, that there was a couple of rainstorms and water got into that, but for the most part California is a pretty dry area in comparison to Hawaii, where we've seen 2 weeks after Jurassic World finished filming and the Indominus Rex enclosure walls just falling apart from the humidity and that of the tropics. So
especially Southern California, which is a much more arid environment than Northern California, which is effectively a rainforest. So they go completely on the different end of the spectrum in a matter of like what, 900 miles.
Yeah. As mentioned before, 2012, most of the hallway and the roof around there, the vending machine hallways collapsed. The rear sections surrounding the tower base have fallen down as well, and a lot of these shots are in that collage we mentioned earlier that Julian got done. before we go to 2016, we need to circle back to Gangland because there's one important thing we did not mention, and that's the miniature and the explosion. I posted it up on various social media stuff when I managed to rip that from the movie, but they actually built a miniature of the operations building to blow up for that film, and for the most part, it's a pretty nice looking miniature. They probably cut some corners on it because it's, of course, shot at night time or in the dark before the explosion, but I liked it. I'd love to have that miniature.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly, it would be cool to have a replica of that miniature made by the original creator, who I can't remember if you said it or if it was somebody else said that the prop person who created the miniature was really disappointed with how it was shot because it was designed to be shot from a low angle to make it look more realistic than it was actually shot, which was from a high angle, which kind of ended up making it look like they just stuck a stick of dynamite in a small model.
Yeah, well, I guess the initial explosion goes, it is low at the front of the stairs, but then it cuts to the side, sort of high side shot as the blast sort of blows out where the communications room and that would be there, and takes it all to hell. But now I do see his point there, where the way some shots are filmed of the explosion are not the way you see the building in the film. Not without having a crane anyway, but even just the shockwave of the explosion and the dust blowing out and the windows blowing out, it doesn't match up to where the explosive was in the film at all. But I still like the shot, and then at the end, just you got the smoking wreck of the framework's all still there. It just pretty much blew the windows out, even though you did have sort of the front doors and that blow out towards the camera. But I've posted that video up in that, and will have links in the run sheet here to the Gangland videos and that, so you can have a look at some of the stuff there as well that was in those films. Fast forward back to 2016, and by now this is where the set is not looking much like it used to. Most of the walls are collapsed inwards. The tower still stands at the rear of the site, but the whole top section at the stairs, the entrance door, most of the lobby area between the sort of the pillars either side of the entrance doors have completely collapsed into the pond below, leaving a massive hole. And we've got satellite images of this when all that happened, when they updated Google Earth. But as I mentioned before, I thought the whole thing was built on a concrete slab, so this sort of shocked me when I just seen how much it had imploded on itself and fallen into that pond.
Mm-hmm. I almost kind of wonder if Universal left this up there for so long, either because out of affection or neglect. I mean, I'd probably lean more towards neglect because they just built so many sets in front of it and tried to hide it like it was an eyesore. But in the end, it really was an eyesore, and it kind of just died a really undignified death.
Yeah, I wonder if there was maybe just the cost to pull it down. They didn't want to pay that money, and when they could just leave it there. It's not the only thing on the backlot that's just been left because they either don't know what to do with it or don't want to spend the money to remove it. Obviously, the other buildings and everything else in the Worker Village set was removed because they need the space for building new sets.
It kind of reminds me of both Universal's treatment of the original Orca from Jaws and the Jeep 10, which was kind of shuffled around various parts of the park before being kind of overturned and used as a prop in one of the Halloween Horror Nights before being sent to the Crusher.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Orca from Jaws was famously it was originally meant to be refurbished and put on display in the Jaws area, but it just never happened, and it just sat there and dry rotted.
Mm. Well, while we're on the Orca and the Jaws section, I remember seeing the photo once they had the bigature of the SS Venture on that pond.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any videos filmed around 96, 97, 98 that showed that there, unless it was off in a part where you couldn't see, which was a shame because there's photos of it on that pond, so we know it was there at some time. But talking about set degradation and that too. One video, bloke, he was actually on foot. He got off the tram tour and he was at the Psycho House and sort of sticking the camera through cracks in the walls and that to show that it's just an empty house, really, an empty facade. But even sort of that place, we joked on other shows where, yeah, Spielberg's not going to remove or pull down the Psycho House just to extend the worker village to have the 13 buildings there, but Universal's doing it themselves by just leaving it there, not looking after it. There's panels falling off it. I'm pretty sure we've discussed too about the Hero DeLorean too that was just parked in a shed to rot away.
Mm-hmm.
Much like a lot of those cars that are parked in that movie car section as well, just sitting there. They did eventually put sort of mesh above it to take away some of the sun's effect on the paint and that, but you see a lot of vehicles that are towards the end of their life in that section, and they're pretty bad shape.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Universal doesn't exactly have the greatest track record with preserving iconic props and sets.
No, and that's when we get to 2019, and we discussed when we were, I think it was the end of 2019 on one of the podcast episodes there for Jurassic Park 3, where we'd realised that the Google Earth images had been renewed and there was no set there anymore. That's when the building had been completely removed from sight. The pond had been cleaned out and sort of made back into a park setting, grass and that all around, the helipad of course from being removed as well, and sort of park benches and all that sort of thing being set up there for some reason anyway with the waterfall. But as we mentioned then, that was the last set filmed or used for the Jurassic series outside of Koala Ranch that still existed. I suppose too, briefly, mentioned before whether they neglected it or wanted to hide it. When Whoville was being built, they deliberately built that wall to hide it, but they didn't demolish it then. So it sat there between that span of Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 before someone in production must have said, well, hey, this building's still here, we could reuse it, redress it, and save a bit of money on sets for the film, especially with what they had going on down at Falls Lake with the avia and everything they're doing down there. Being able to redress the site was probably a good thing it hadn't been bulldozed before then, otherwise we'd have a completely different film anyway, stuff in the film. But that's pretty much the story of the Jurassic Backlot.
Yeah.
As I said before, got a heap of reference videos here with a bit of a description of what's in each one. I'll post up so you can sort of go and have a look at that. The JP3 or the embryonic set music videos there as well as the bit of a behind the scenes of that Universal Florida Lost World display they had down there for marketing of the film. But I don't think January's issue of Jurassic Minutes is going to be quite as long. Of course, we've got Camp Cretaceous coming out. Some new figures that are just being hinted at the moment. We're going to see a lot more of that as well. Anything else on the Backlot?
No, but I did look up the Horizon model scales. Found an old advertisement for them, and the Brachiosaurus was 1/19th, the T-Rex was 1/16th, the Raptor was 1/5, and the Dilophosaurus was 1/4 scale.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually going to be quite bigger than the, it's going to be a little bit smaller than the Horizon Dilophosaurus.
Although at least being made out of polystone would be a bit more durable than the model plastic that the Horizon kits are made out of.
Yeah.
Good bit of information there to end out the episode. So Dave, if that's it, we'll get out of here for the day and the month, and we'll be back next week for the start of the 2021 discussion on Jurassic World and the Jurassic Minutes.
All right.